Hi, my name is Christina Harvey, and in this segment, I will be sharing an overview of MMH trauma informed adaptations. Previously, we discussed our process for systematically adapting MMH, which included a review of MMH curriculum, discussing potential options for adaptations, compiling promising changes, reviewing the training plan. As mentioned in a prior segment, remember not all lessons were significantly changed, and part of our objective was to provide additional options for MMH. Our overview of the trauma-informed adaptations will include: what does it mean to be trauma-informed? Sharing how we modified lessons, language, and handouts, reviewing some of the revised activity options. We'll share how these adaptations create linkages to trauma-informed approaches and discuss how this links with principles of TIPS, trauma-informed programs and practices in schools. Our objectives in this segment are to share steps towards creating trauma-informed classroom environments using the MMH curriculum. We'll talk about how this is beneficial to all students. We want to point out that this does not necessarily include identifying trauma-exposed students, rather focuses on adaptations that create a safe, supportive environment that nurtures positive connections within the classroom. Being trauma-informed is about creating an environment of mutual trust, safety, and support, regardless of what we know or do not know about an individual's adversity exposure. Being trauma-informed is also about changing our mindset or our perspective. When we see someone engaging in negative behaviors, we ask, "What happened to you?" rather than "What's wrong with you?" This shift in perspective alone can create significant positive changes. Approaching students with a focus on collaboration, empowerment, and transparency, in addition to trust, safety, and support, are also ways that we can increase our trauma-informed or trauma-supportive classrooms. So what does it look like to implement trauma-informed changes? Some examples can include removing negative language that assumes students are rude, manipulative, or risk-taking. Incorporating empowered language, like students are resourceful, resilient, strong. Talking about behaviors as responsible or respectful. Shifting to person-first language, like someone with a substance use disorder, rather than calling them an addict. Incorporating principles of social-emotional learning skills across multiple units and lessons. A great example of this would be talking about coping skills with our students. We condensed lessons with significant content and skill overlap and reduced the density of the lesson materials. This streamlining will save time in terms of lesson and unit length. We hope this makes the delivery of MMH easier, given the time constraints of health classes in Michigan high schools and the time it would take individual teachers to make these modifications. We also made changes to reflect the potential variety of current life experiences and reading levels among high school students. We hope this increases accessibility, relevance, and engagement for students. A few examples. One lesson had an activity that included speed dating. This was removed and replaced as we were concerned this example could be triggering for youth who have experienced dating violence in the past. Another lesson featured a professional basketball star sharing her struggle with mental health issues. The personal story options for this lesson were updated to include current well-known sports figures and celebrities who have been open about their mental health struggles. We also removed the requirement of parent involvement. For students experiencing trauma at home, such requirements can make the educational experience difficult for them. And we wanted to only require experiences that were fully in the control of the student. Instead, we encourage students to interact with trusted adults. and when possible, made any conversations with those trusted adults suggestions. Our changes included some reordering, substituting, or supplementing of activities to achieve the curriculum objectives in building the 7 health skills. In the next segment, you'll hear the details of those changes. Know our focus was on retaining the foundational skill building of the curriculum activities, keeping the emphasis of the examples used on well-being and resilience, and to provide multiple activity options. Creating choice for both the teacher and the students allows greater flexibility in being trauma responsive. The adaptations made to MMH relate back to the TIPS pillars. Ensuring a safe environment. By having a more trauma-informed classroom through adaptations like setting up clear expectations for dialogue with the classroom charter, we are creating a safe and nurturing environment for students not only to feel comfortable in, but to excel in. Trauma awareness. The main purpose of the MyLeap adaptations was to have a team work through the MMH content and activities with a broad trauma-informed lens, increasing the responsiveness built into the curriculum and allowing for staff to utilize their future training for more individualized tailoring that may come up when they see how students respond to the content during implementation. Awareness of biases. While training will take each teacher deeper in understanding their own implicit bias, MyLeap has eased the burden of updating the curriculum content through bias-reducing adaptations, like decreasing the presence of stigmatizing language and utilizing strengths-based, person-first language as appropriate. Building community. Strong relationships are the basis of a strong and healthy community. When students feel safe and respected in a classroom, we build strong relationships. Using our example of person-first language, we can see that students who experience or know someone who experiences mental health concerns would be able to engage with less shame when talking about a person with schizophrenia versus a schizophrenic, or a person with a substance use disorder versus an addict. Developing positive relationships. Staff modeling what positive or healthy relationships look like is essential for young people's development. Thinking back to our classroom charter adaptation, that activity creates the space for students to share what actions make them feel valued and respected, which helps teachers honor their students' boundaries. Communicate expectations. The alternative activities and options that were added to the MMH curriculum that allow for students to have voice and choice in creating achievable expectations. Think our classroom charter, or allowing students to decide which scenario they select or how they respond. These changes also provide the teacher with ways to clearly communicate the rules and expectations to their students. Avoid deficit thinking. Many of the trauma-informed MyLeap adaptations stressed the importance of how we talk to students. Students need positive, affirming messages, and since we don't know what health behaviors a student is engaging in, we need to be intentional with how we discuss riskier choices so the negative biases aren't internalized by students. Incorporate social emotional skills. MMH is full of social and emotional skills instruction that are consistently reinforced across each health unit or topic. Create supports. MMH already has linkages to state and national supports around the health topics it covers. The MyLeap adaptations add in county and regional resources and supports. In addition, templates to incorporate school-based services and supports will also be provided.